Honor Guard at 10 hut. Lower flags to half mast. Color Guard 10 hut. Raise flags to half mast. Present arc.
Ready, Marshal? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you may know, our Memorial Day Parade, scheduled for Monday, May 25th, has been canceled due to our COVID-19 pandemic. We have faced unprecedented restrictions over the last few months as a result of the pandemic. Many of you who attend the parade and ceremony are veterans who are among the most vulnerable in acquiring this disease at this time. Therefore, we want to take this opportunity in allowing our veterans and their families a chance to observe our fallen veterans. Also, due to the pandemic, our Honor Guard was unable to attend our fallen veterans this year at our local cemeteries. Therefore, we want to apologize for this inconvenience. And God bless you all. The black and white POW-MIA flag in the empty chair you see is a physical symbol of thousands of Americans POW and MIA is still unaccounted for from all wars. The flag is a reminder for all of us to spare no effort to secure the release of any American prisoner from captivity, the repatriation of the remains of those who died bravely in the defense of liberty, and the full accounting of those still missing. Let us dedicate ourselves for this endeavor. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Honor Guard 10 hut. Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms, parade, rest.
At this time, our new Legion Commander, Jerry Van Isle, will say our opening prayer. Uncover
And bow your heads, please. We invite you to join us in lifting up prayer for Memorial Day. Every day we enjoy the blessings of living in our great country. Those blessings came at a high cost. Today we stop and spend some quality time in solemn remembrance for the men and women who gave everything so that we could be free. As we observe this day, we want to again respectfully honor all the men and women who gave their lives and all who have in the past and presently serve in our armed forces. May they feel appreciated and may be powerful, protected this day and every day. Amen. Cover.
this time, I'd like to introduce Taylor Reinhorst, who will bless us with singing the Star Spangled Banner. Honor Guard, please stand. Reset, hard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars fill the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and all content clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, hard. Parade, rest. Honor Guard will be seated. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day, not just for those who are wearing our country's uniform, but also for all Americans. We have set aside this day to honor all Americans who have given their lives to protect and defend two cherished beliefs, freedom and democracy. When I think of these brave men and women, I am saddened that they didn't have an opportunity to say a final goodbye or give a hug or kiss to their parents, spouses, or children. These simple facts should never be taken for granted. We live in a nation that has more rights and freedoms than any other on the face of this earth. These rights and freedoms reflect in the 13 red and white stripes and 50 stars on the field of blue. They have been protected and defended by Americans time and time again. As many of our brave and dedicated soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and many American families have learned, freedom is not free, and democracy is to be defended. But each of these values comes with a price. Memorial Day means much more to Americans than just a day off from work or a parade at different park. It represents the memory of all those brave Americans who died to allow us the privilege to live a unique and wonderful country. At this time, I'd like to welcome the Honorable Mark Winchell, Mayor of Chaska.
Commander of the South. Welcome, everyone. This is such an honor to be here as your mayor on this beautiful day today. I want to say thank you to the Chaska American Legion, the Chaska Veterans of Foreign Wars, for inviting me to join them on their special day today. While we are certainly going through some challenging and uncertain times, I'm humbled to be standing here at our beautiful Chaska Veterans Park to be part of this important ceremony to honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. I've been involved in these Memorial Day ceremonies since the early 70s. Over those years, I've seen only 2 cancellations due to rain, but we have been chased out of that park many times by storms. Today's experience is the first. We are doing this Memorial Day services totally virtually. So strange not to look out over the park and see it packed. The city is proud to use our hashtag Chaska Cares initiative to partner with our veterans organization to bring this impactful ceremony to you on our local access channel and YouTube. It's not the same as marching down 4th Street, gathering in City Square Park, listening to the student speeches, seeing the waving American flags. But we are glad that we are able to listen to the message of what Memorial Day is all about, honoring those who gave their lives to our country. Thank you for taking the time to watch this service. Soon after seeing this, more businesses will open. But please remember, we still need to take care of each other by social distancing, wearing masks, and washing our hands frequently. That has not gone away and probably won't go away for a while. In closing, I'd like to say thank you to the men and women that have made the ultimate sacrifice to our great nation. Thank you for this humbling experience once again. Next year, my hopes are that we are back doing this in person again. God bless the USA. God bless each and every one of you here today. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Richard. I would like now to introduce a group of veterans that will talk about their experiences serving our great country.
The majority of the civilian population thinks on Memorial Day of we're gonna have a picnic, it's the official beginning of summer.
Day off of work.
Absolutely, all those things. Sales, I mean, who would have thought that Memorial Day was to buy furniture? Who thinks of those things? To me, Memorial Day is, we are paying respect for all those people that gave their lives so we can have our picnic, so we can have, you know, our family gathering, and we can enjoy the beginning of summer if that's what you want to do. But the main purpose of this day was to remember all those that came before us and that gave the maximum sacrifice to our country. You know, they gave their lives so we can be free.
We always celebrated Memorial Day, but it was a parade, a band, a few speakers, but now it has become much more personal because of your comments. I look back now, and when I landed in the Philippines, going past Corregidor, Bataan, and those places you mentioned, and realized how many suffered and died to get me into the Philippines along the way up there.
Well, I look at it this way. The majority of the population, civilians, for those of us that are veterans, don't understand what Memorial Day really means. And we've heard over the years, it's not just a day for a picnic and families getting together. For us, most of us veterans, we're honoring those who sacrificed their lives. And to me, that is, it's a lot more meaning. I've always gone to either a cemetery or a ceremony somewhere, be it here, be it Washington, D.C., be it my home in Wisconsin where I grew up. My father, all four uncles served in World War II. Great uncle was in World War I. My ancestors fought in the Civil War, the Spanish American War, all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And two of them died in combat, one in Cuba during the Spanish American War, and one in the Civil War somewhere in Virginia. My two brothers both retired from the military. They're both BFW members as well from the Gulf War. One of my uncles served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He was in 30-some years. So when I go to Memorial Day ceremonies, be it at our park right here or any other place, I remember all that. And especially my brothers from Vietnam. By brothers, I mean brothers in arms that we lost, that didn't come back with us. So it's very somber, and that's what we remember and what we honor. The rest of the population needs to remember that even just one day, Memorial Day, that's what it's for. It's to honor those who served and sacrificed their lives.
So normally I try to get to a Memorial Day ceremony, which
This year's a little different. My husband and I are both veterans, so we generally end up watching a few war movies, reminiscing about both of our times in the service, friends that we've lost, and then I will end up reaching out to some of my friends who are the loved ones left behind from those people that have made the ultimate sacrifice, just checking in with them and reaching out, letting them know that I appreciate their sacrifice as well.
Thanks for doing it. That's great.
Thank you all for sharing your experiences with our audience today. Our guest speaker today, Lieutenant Commander Mike Peterson, is a United States Navy Reserve retired. Lieutenant Commander Peterson flew 269 combat missions in Vietnam, where he earned 17 air medals and the Purple Heart. He flew a Huey helicopter gunship in 1968 and 1969 in the Republic of Vietnam. He is a life member of the Chaska VFW and a life member of the Chaska American Legion. At this time, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Commander Mike Peterson, retired.
Thank you, Commander. Fellow Americans, today is Memorial Day. Today is sacred. This is the day that we recognize, honor, and remember those men and women who have died on the battlefield in service to this great country. Many of these men and women have come home wrapped in our red, white, and blue. I have the honor to read excerpts of the 2018 Memorial Day speech given at the Vietnam Wall in 2018 by Dr. Hal Kushner, Army Flight Surgeon, prisoner of war from 1967 to 1973. I quote, "I went to Vietnam on a contract flight as a 26-year-old doctor in starched khakis. I left Vietnam as a 33-year-old POW, clothes who hadn't seen his family in 6 years, but had seen unspeakable horrors and suffering. I have served with many soldiers whose names are etched on this wall, and 10 of those I held their heads in my hands as they passed to the other side. These men who died in my arms in terrible conditions in a POW camp: Francis Cannon, Richard Williams, Robert Sherman, Russell Grissett, Fred Burns, William Hort, who later received the Medal of Honor, Joseph Zataki, Dennis Hammond. After a helicopter crash in which I was the only survivor, but seriously injured, I was captured by the Viet Cong, shot, tied up, and marched barefoot for over 30 days to a POW camp in the jungle where we lived for 3.5 years. Most of the time we had nothing. No shoes, clothes, medicine, blankets, tobacco, soap, toothpaste, and very little food. And it was very cold. We were shackled, beaten, and starved. We suffered. Half of us died. The enemy attempted to separate us by race and indoctrinate us differently. They gave up early. We were Americans, and we stayed together. We slept on the same bamboo pallet and were sick. We nursed and cleaned each other. We got no letters or Red Cross packages. We got nothing. We had one book, a Catholic missal issued by the United States Marine Corps, from which the enemy had torn out the first 2 pages. Those were with the American flag and the Star-Spangled Banner. When a man died, we wrapped him in bamboo. We dug his grave, we buried him, and eulogized him, and marked his grave with bamboo and rocks. I can report with thanks to the JPAC, every single one of our dead brothers has been repatriated, where they lie in the shadow of their families, in the soil of their country, where they belong. After 3.5 years in the jungle and 13 deaths, we walked 540 miles to North Vietnam and spent 2 more years in a cruel jail. In the summer, we roasted, and in the winter, we were cold and damp. We had pumpkin soup, bread, and water twice a day. We were 6 to a room with a bucket for a latrine, and we were forbidden from speaking to anyone outside the room. Finally, after the B-52 bombing of Hanoi, Operation Linebacker 2, the peace was signed on 27 January 1973. I left Hanoi on 16 March. I returned to American control. When I saw the magnificent C-141 with our American flag on the tail and United States Air Force on the fuselage, I was overcome with emotion. I had not seen our flag in over 5 years. A week later, at Valley Forge Hospital, I met my 5-year-old son for the first time. And I saw my 9-year-old daughter for the first time since she was 3. Unquote. This Memorial Day here in Chaska, we remember the fallen who have preserved freedom known by no other nation in history. God bless them, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander Mike Peterson, for that wonderful speech. It was heartfelt. Thank you, sir. At this time, we have a special message from our Congressman Dean Phillips.
Hi everybody, I'm Congressman Dean Phillips, and I was so looking forward to joining you at Chaska Veterans Park for today's ceremony, just as I've had the pleasure to do for the past 2 years. But now it's my honor to share a brief message with you on what promises to be a very memorable Memorial Day for all of us. We live in remarkably challenging times. A deadly virus has taken over 90,000 American lives and has wreaked havoc on our once booming economy. Fear and anxiety surround us, made worse by the fact that so many cannot be with their loved ones during these very difficult days. Yet this is not the first test of American resolve, and it certainly will not be the last. Generations before us have borne the burdens of war, of disease, of international conflict, and economic turmoil. And without fail, Americans have stood together, shoulder to shoulder, to face those threats head on. We asked not what our country could do for us, rather we asked what could we do for our country. And not only did we get through it, we were made stronger for it, even when the road was long. And no generation better defines this courage in the face of enormous adversity than the greatest generation. So on this Memorial Day, I'm reflecting on the 16 million extraordinary Americans who served our country, and especially the more than 416,000 who paid the ultimate price defending freedom and our American way of life. Today, fewer than 390,000 of those 16 million who served are still with us, and many are living in care facilities where contact with the outside world has been severely limited for their safety. If you are one of those wonderful people, please know that you are on our minds and in our hearts every day. And to every veteran, whether you served in peacetime or war, I want to simply say thank you. As a Gold Star son myself, I know all too well the very human costs of war. I also know the sacrifices made by your families. So please know that you are not forgotten, especially my fellow Gold Star families. And as we look to the future, let's harness that great American resolve that helped us defeat the Spanish flu and liberate Europe. Let's set aside our differences and replace fear and anxiety with optimism and determination. In doing so, we honor the very memory of those who stepped up when duty called. And I wish to thank the Chaska American Legion and the VFW for organizing this extraordinary tribute to our fallen heroes and for all the work you do in this amazing community, from the baseball and the hockey programs to helping those in great need. Thank you, and to the city, to Carver County and area service organizations for your efforts to make Chaska such a welcoming community for veterans, their families, and visitors. And as we pause today to reflect on the very heavy price of freedom, I want to say once more to our veterans and to your families, thank you for your service and for your many sacrifices in defense of the United States of America. I look forward to seeing you all at the Chaska Veterans Park next year and encourage everyone to pay a visit, safely of course, if you haven't been there yet. In the meantime, please reach out to my office anytime if you are a veteran in need of assistance, perhaps with your federal benefits or your health care, or if you know somebody who is. And please keep the faith. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get through it together. Godspeed, and God bless America.
Thank you, Congressman Dean Phillips. Ladies and gentlemen, let's honor those veterans who were here with us last year but have since gone to their eternal rest. I will now read the names of this past year's deceased members of the Chaska American Legion. Honor Guard, please stand. Present, hard. From the American Legion, Don Wenz. From the American Legion, Rodney Forristal. From the American Legion, Arlen Chemnitz. From the American Legion, Tony Katzbowski. From the American Legion, Don West. At this time, I'll introduce the commander. Order, arms, parade, rest. Rich Daniels to the podium for a reading of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Fallen Soldiers. Get ready. Honor Guard, can cut. Reset, arms.
Fallen members from the Chaska VFW Post 1791. Don Jacks. John Krieger. Harold Lund. Urban Fritz. Ron Oldenburg. and one young man who did not have the chance to join either the Legion or the VFW, Kyle Hagstrom.
Order, form! Parade, rest!
Ladies and gentlemen, on this Memorial Day, let us pledge ourselves anew to patriotic service. I ask everyone across this nation to join hands today in solemn remembrance and grateful celebration in honor of those who've given their ultimate sacrifice, their life in preservation of freedom and democracy. Let us now bow our heads for this moment of solemn memory of our heroic dead. Sergeant, salute the fallen.
Honor guard, kids, up! Present, fire! Ready! Aim! Fire! 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 Present, fire!
At this time, I'd like to introduce Kay Mulnow as she leads in the singing of God Bless America.
Honor guard, kids, up! Parade, rest!
Thank you, Kay.
At this time, I'd like Rich Daniels, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Commander, to come up and say our closing prayer. Commander?
Let's remember. Let's remember for the wife who lost her husband, for the husband who lost his wife. Let's remember for the mother the father who lost their child. Let's remember for the child who lost a parent. Let's remember to pray, to be grateful, to never take our freedom for granted. Let's remember a thank you to those who have been called to serve and to those who have given their lives. We will remember. Amen.
Thank you, Commander Daniels. I wish to thank all of those who helped plan this program, all of those who took part in this program, and all of those who attended this service. If you served our country and you are eligible, we would like you to consider joining the American Legion Post 57 here in Chaska, or the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 1791, also here in Chaska. Or if you have any questions about either the auxiliaries or the Sons of the American Legions, please ask someone in uniform and they will gladly answer any questions you may have. Or look us up in the book. We're listed. Today we honor and remember all those who gave all their defense to our country. I wish to recognize all the veterans here today. From this veteran to you, thank you for your service. And for those watching, welcome home. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Honor guard, teach, hut! Dismiss!